You do not have to hit rock bottom to quit drinking. Everyone's rock bottom looks completely different. You don't have to get divorced. You don't have to lose your kids, get a DUI before you realize alcohol isn't serving you. Hey guys, it's just me today. Thank you for being here. So today we are going to talk about why I'm still here. You know, I've been here since nearly a month and a half into my sobriety. And if you've been following me since then, you've watched this transformation in real time, or you watched my fitness videos before I started talking about sobriety. Now I know maybe it doesn't look like I had a problem. I get it. I've got critics out there who think she didn't lose everything. She didn't hit rock bottom. She just quit drinking. Big deal. Got a lot of haters out there. But here's the thing. I'm not here for views. I'm not here for money. If I wanted to chase that, trust me, I could. And I could go back to real estate. I could have played the poor me card, milked my darkest stories, relapsed for content, dramatized my pain for sympathy. But that's not at all who I am. And that's not what sobriety is about. I'm here for the mindset side of sobriety, the daily habits, the discipline, the rewiring of your entire thought process. I read the books. I listen to the podcast. I do the work every single day. And yeah, maybe not everyone agrees with what I say, and that's totally fine. There was once a time where people could agree to disagree without tearing each other apart, way back when. But I'm not going to stop. Not at all. Because I'm here to show you sobriety and be brutally honest about it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You do not have to hit rock bottom to quit drinking. Everyone's rock bottom looks completely different. You don't have to get divorced. You don't have to lose your kids, get a DUI before you realize alcohol isn't serving you. I was lucky. I avoided these things. I was definitely heading down the road of all of them, probably. But that doesn't mean there wasn't wreckage. From 2020 to 2023, I was in a really dark place. I think a lot of us can agree the C word took a lot of us down. And I just drank more and more and more. I lost friends. I lost a best friend. I lost parts of myself that I'm still trying to rebuild. Parts of myself that I'll probably never get back. And yeah, I put myself in some bad situations, but that never gave anyone the right to do what they did to me. And now I'm the one who has to live with the consequences, not them. The perpetrator always gets away. The victim is always the one shamed. But here's the thing. I cleaned myself up. I started facing my truth piece by piece. I'm not hiding from it. I'm healing from it. I still have so much of my story left to share, and I'm not going to rush it. I don't need to dump it all into one video for views, but one day I will write a book. And if you want the full story from age 15 to 36, you might want to buckle up because it will be one hell of a ride. Sure, I could name drop. I could expose people. I could sink to the level of those who hurt me and try tearing me down. But that's not who I am, and definitely not who I am anymore. I'm living proof that you can decide right now that alcohol no longer defines who you are. Maybe it's a fight to get there. Maybe it takes everything in you, but it is possible. Because sobriety it's not just about drinking. Because sobriety isn't just about not drinking. It's about doing the freaking work. You need structure. You need a task list. You need accountability. You need community, because isolation will take you out faster than any relapse, at least from the experiences that I've seen. Train your mind every single day to want better for yourself, because the truth is, no one's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. And that's what I'm doing. One brutally honest day at a time. So I've done the work, doing the work, the reading, the journaling, the therapy, the walks, where the truth finally starts to speak. And some of these books like You Are the One You've Been Waiting For by Richard Schwartz, changed everything for me. That is one of the books that really started changing things for me, along with The Body Keeps the Score. Because You Are the One You've Been Waiting For, it made me realize I was waiting for someone to come save me, someone to make it all okay. But the truth is, no one was coming. I was the one I'd been waiting for all along. And alcohol, it was my way of outsourcing that inner comfort. Instead of turning inward to the parts of me that were hurting, the younger versions, the ones that were scared or sad or ashamed, I just poured a drink and numbed them all out. I told them, shh, not now, maybe later. But Schwartz says every part of you has a positive intention, even the ones you're ashamed of, even the one that reaches for the bottle, or the one that snaps at people you love, or the one that isolates when you're hurting. Those parts are trying to protect you. They just don't know how. And when I started sobriety, I realized how much of my drinking wasn't rebellion. It was actually protection. Protection from pain, from loneliness, from not feeling good enough, from the voice in my head that told me I was too much and not enough, all at the same time. And that's why I talk so much about mindset, because if you don't change what's happening in your mind, you'll never change what's happening in your life. I know not everyone agrees with the way I got sober, and that's fine. But there was once a time where, people did want to do the hard work, but it seems a little more convenient just to stay in our comfort zones nowadays. And to be honest, you can quit simply because you're tired of being disconnected from yourself, because you want your peace back, because you're done outsourcing your joy to something that keeps taking from you. Yeah, I didn't end up in rehab, and I didn't end up in jail. But like I mentioned earlier, I did have a very dark place. I became someone I didn't even recognize. And I didn't realize that in the moment until I started reading these books and got sober and looked back at who I was becoming. And it was an ugly, ugly person. And I'm the one that has to live with those memories. But I've stopped letting those memories own me. Maybe some people want to keep me in my past and keep throwing me in the mud, dragging me through the mud, bringing this up, bringing that up. Well, Meghan did this, Meghan did that. Okay, well, Meghan did a lot of things since the age of 15 until the age of 36 when I quit drinking. But sobriety forced me to grow up emotionally, to stop being the version of me that just wanted to be liked, to stop trying to fix people who broke me. And that's where the book that I mention a lot, It's Not You, by Dr. Ramani, that book hit me hard in so many ways also, because she talks about narcissistic systems, about how we internalize blame for people's cruelty. And for years, I thought I was the problem, that if I just loved harder, gave more, shrank smaller, things would get better. But it's not you. It was never you. Like, it's not me. It was never me. Yes, I have some things that I could take accountability for, and I think getting sober has definitely been proof that I wanted better for myself. It's the systems, it's the conditioning, the trauma that made us believe we weren't worthy of peace unless we were perfect. And alcohol definitely fed that lie. It whispered, you're funnier with me. You're lighter with me. You're prettier with me. You're sexier with me. You're more lovable with me. You can do that as long as you're with me. Doesn't Hardy sing a song about Jack? Spot on. But that was an illusion, because the next morning it took everything it gave and more. It took it. It just let us wake up in shame and guilt. I spent the last year or two rebuilding, because the first year was all about getting through the first and the second year. So the last year was rebuilding the connection to me. And here's the truth. Healing is not glamorous. It's lonely. It's messy. It's nights, staring at the wall, wondering if you're doing any of it right. It's crying in the shower because you don't know who you are without chaos. It's relearning how to feel without trying to escape the feeling. And I know a lot of you can relate to that one. But one day, all of it will be written down. I don't want to stoop to the level some people do. And that is why I don't share all the nitty-gritty out of respect for my husband, who says not to share every single aspect that we've gone through the last 15 years of our life. And before we got together, it's really nobody's business. I share the parts of me that help others. I mean, I could definitely expose people, but I won't. I'm not them, because I want to build me. I don't want to stoop to other people's levels. And I want to remind you again that you can decide that alcohol no longer defines who you are. You don't need permission. You don't need the perfect moment. You just need to start doing the work. Maybe doing 75 hard isn't for you like it was for me, but really having that task list and that structure really helped. Reading the self-help books, it really starts helping your mind and understanding the underlying issues. Because you do, like, all of us need structure. We need to move our body. We need to sit with discomfort. And again and again, I will say over and over, community is key. Without this community, I don't think I'd be sober. And because of this community, I've stayed sober. I have an outlet. I have people that I can email, text, call if I wanted. Anytime that I'm having an issue, I can vent to them and they can bring me back to, being grounded and feeling better. You also need to get outside, take the walks, get the fresh air. Don't listen to anything, just listen to nature. Learn how to breathe again. And Richard Schwartz says, when the self leads, everything changes. And I definitely believe that because now when a craving comes, I don't shame it. I ask, what part of me is hurting right now? And I listen. That's inner leadership. That's healing. And the truth is, we really have to save ourselves. We have to want it for ourselves. Our family can want it for us. You can want it for your family. Grandkids aren't going to get you sober. Your kids aren't going to get you sober. I mean, heck, being in the hospital on your deathbed's not going to get you sober. But you have to stop running from your pain. I know a lot of people that just run from their pain and mask it with alcohol without facing it and realizing that they're only hurting themselves. And by hurting themselves, they're hurting everyone around them. You are hurting the people closest to you. You are hurting the ones who love you, who want better for you. But yes, you have to want it. If I would have kept going down this path of destruction, I would have hurt not just my husband, I would hurt my kids. And I could not imagine being a parent who lets down their child. I mean, yeah, we're going to let down our children here and there. I understand that, but I could not imagine choosing alcohol over my own child. It's a devastating thought. And along the way, I've gotten comments, and I think I'm a broken record about this. Like, she didn't look like she had a problem. I know a lot of moms that actually had a problem, and you would never have guessed it. You would have never assumed that they had a drinking problem, that they were drinking from morning to bedtime and still functioning as, stay-at-home moms. We put that mask up pretty good. And, just because I wasn't living under a bridge or on the road or in and out of the hospital, I cared so much about my appearance by working out and taking care of myself and drinking the water and eating the healthy food that, I mean, maybe I didn't look like your typical person that had an issue with alcohol, but if you would have seen me behind the scenes with a bottle in my hand, you'd probably understand why I quit drinking. There's videos of me. If you go back to the earlier videos, there's definitely videos that have been put into the beginning of some of these videos. I don't know if it was month 6 or 9 or 10, one of those videos. It was pretty bad. I was passed out at the table. I was definitely broken. But we all know that there's a kind of broken that doesn't show up on social media, but it is the kind that your soul gets quiet, the kind where your laughter feels rehearsed. And that's where I was living. And I've showed up authentically, just day by day, as a person that struggles, and is still working on it. I mean, I said it earlier, but I could have relapsed for the algorithm, but I didn't want to be that person. I could never imagine putting wine near my lips again. I could never imagine taking a shot a vodka or whiskey or drinking a beer. Like, it all just makes me cringe so much. It makes my stomach physically hurt just thinking about it. And see, like, alcohol wasn't my problem, right? It was my solution. It's like so many of us. It was the shortcut to silence every part of me I didn't know how to face. The anxious one, the angry one. And I have never felt good enough. My self-worth has always been super low. And so when, you are the one you've been waiting for, that book just opened up so much light from early childhood and trying to understand where all of this comes from. He talks about how inside of all of us are these parts, the protectors, the firefighters, the exiles, and the self. And when those parts are at war, that's when we suffer. When they're heard and loved by the self, that's when we start healing. So when I first quit drinking, I realized my protector was the one pouring the wine. That protector thought she was keeping me safe from rejection, from grief, from the truth that I didn't know how to be alone with myself. But underneath my exile, the teenage girl who was hurting, confused, desperate to be loved, every drink was me saying, I'll deal with it later. Except later never came. But sobriety has forced me to meet that girl, to sit with a girl I abandoned since the age of 15, to hold her hand through the panic, the shame, the memories that I buried. And that's the hard work. Because when yourself, that calm, compassionate, unbreakable center starts leading, you stop needing alcohol to manage your life. You start parenting yourself the way you always needed someone else to. You start becoming the protector that doesn't destroy you to protect you. And then Dr. Ramani was the mirror I didn't want, but absolutely needed. And when she talks about these systems, families, relationships, cultures that gaslight us into believing that everything is our fault, that was my blueprint. I grew up believing peace was earned through perfection. So I became the fixer, the peacemaker, the one who absorbed everyone else's chaos so they'd still love me. And alcohol became the easiest way to survive that pressure. And she also mentions the narcissist's greatest weapon is your empathy. Ain't that the truth? And I've learned that the hard way. Because when you keep handing your empathy to people who use it as leverage, you start bleeding out. Sobriety showed me how to stop handing people that knife. I just want to let you know again and again, sobriety isn't punishment. We are reclaiming our lives. It's walking back into our own body and saying, I'm home. It's forgiving the parts of you that used to think alcohol was love. So when those cravings hit, don't shame them. Just ask yourself, what's hurting me? What's triggering me? Maybe it's boredom. Maybe it's grief. Maybe it's fear. But just remind yourself that you are here now and you don't need the drink. You have yourself. And that's what Schwartz means when he says the self is in the one you've been waiting for. The healing doesn't come from someone rescuing you. It really does come from you rescuing you. And we can stop internalizing blame and start owning truth. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. Yeah, I have had a lot of troubles in the last 2 years with being sober. I've been questioned. I've been doubted, but now I have the clarity. And the clarity feels better than the approval ever did. Every day I show up here, not to prove anything, but to remind you that it is possible. We can rebuild, we can evolve, we can forgive. You can outgrow the version of you who thought you'd never make it past day 1. I just did an interview with someone who hit day 100. He probably never thought that he'd get sober. So many people in this community have commented, I never thought I'd be here. I can say the same thing. I never thought I would be here saying that I'm 26 months sober, ever. It was just life. It was who I was, right? That's what alcohol keeps telling us. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you didn't lose your identity when you quit drinking. You finally found it. Because when you stop running, the real you finally catches up, and that's who you've been waiting for. That is your protector. So I really want you guys to do the walks, to read the books, to feel the feelings, And always just remember, no one's coming to save you. There's not a magic pill. There's not a magic wand to get you sober. You have to want it. You have to want it for yourself. And then it would be lovely if you wanted it for your family, your kids, your friends, the relationships that you're in. But you have to want it. Before sobriety, I was already doing the work. I didn't realize it until looking back. But I was making fitness videos. I was talking about mindset, about getting stronger, about showing up when you don't feel like it. And I thought I was healthy. I really did. But what I didn't understand yet was that I was fit on the outside and fractured on the inside. So 45 days into 75 hard, that day, something lifted off of me. I did start the challenge hesitant, not sure if I really wanted to do it. But during 75 hard, I went on my first camping trip sober. And that's when things started changing. And just being out under the stars, away from the noise. And I remember looking around and the mountains and the stillness. And for the first time, I saw life clearly. I realized alcohol wasn't serving me anymore. And it wasn't fun. It wasn't freedom. It was pulling me further from everything that mattered. My peace, my family, my purpose. And I was about 4 weeks in to 75 hard at that time during that camping trip. And something about the discipline, the walks, the reading, the daily commitment, it created enough space in my mind for truth to surface. Because that's what happens when you stop numbing. The clarity comes rushing in. And on day 45, I remember dumping out the bottles at home. Sometime after that trip, there were at least a dozen, all different types, because I used to just justify them in many different ways. A little wine for dinner, hard seltzer for fun, shot on the weekends to relax. But they all represented the same thing, avoidance. And that was when I realized 75 hard was definitely a mental challenge. It is a mental toughness challenge. It's the one where I realized this wasn't about physical challenge anymore. It was definitely mental. And I think that's when I started walking down into my own basement, the one that Richard Schwartz talks about, the place where all of our exiled parts live, the ones that we've silenced every time we pour a drink. Because when I stopped drinking, the noise stopped too, and suddenly I could hear them. All those younger versions of me that I had locked away, they were scared, angry, confused, but they were also waiting for me just to come back. I met the part of me who thought she needed alcohol to connect with people, the part who laughed loud to hide the pain, the part who thought she had to earn love. And I started to realize those weren't bad parts. They were the wounded ones. And you can't heal what you won't face. That's why sobriety for me isn't just about removing alcohol. It's about reparenting those inner children that alcohol silenced. It's about going into that basement, taking them by the hand and saying, I know you were trying to protect me, but you don't have to do that anymore. I've got us now, right? And then that's when Richard Schwartz means when he says his book title, You Are the One You've Been Waiting For. It's not about waiting for a savior. It's about realizing you were never broken, just burdened. And through all these books, I started doing the work and I started facing my own patterns. And in the book, It's Not You, so many things hit me because she explains when you grow up in systems of blame, you start thinking you deserve chaos. You get so used to being responsible for everyone else's emotions that you forget how to take care of your own. And when you finally start letting yourself set boundaries, people who benefited from your lack of them start to fall away, or they start saying really mean things to you. And that's what happened to me. When I stopped drinking, I didn't just lose alcohol. I lost people, friends who only knew me drunk, who only knew the chaotic Meghan, never wanted to look past the alcohol and who I was inside. Relationships that depended on my silence. But I gained peace. And that peace became the proof that I was on the right path. Sobriety taught me something that no glass of wine ever could. That healing doesn't happen in our comfort zones. We know that. It happens in the quiet. We have to get uncomfortable. It happens on that walk when you want to quit. And it happens when you start staring temptation in the face and say, not this time. So yeah, I've been here. My story's a lot different than a lot of other people's out there. But if you've been here with me, you've seen my transformation, the physical changes, the emotional resurrection, the light coming back into my eyes, the way my words hit deeper now because they're not numbed anymore. I'm not here to be perfect, but I am here to be present. I'm here to be real. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to wait until everything falls apart to choose better. You can choose better today, because the version of you that's been waiting in the basement deserves to see the light. And only you can set yourself free. So now that I've blabbed a little bit, I want to talk to you, because if you're listening right now, I know there's probably a part of you that's tired of pretending, apologizing, tired of numbing, tired of carrying everything alone. But I want you to pause right now, and I want you to breathe. Just breathe. Take a deep breath and let it out. Do you feel that? That's you still here, still trying, and still worth it. Richard Schwartz says that when you feel overwhelmed, it's because your inner family, all those parts of you, are trying to get your attention at once. And I think that's where so many of us live, in the noise. But healing begins when you stop shoving them away and start listening. So here's what I want you to do after this episode. Find a quiet moment, get a notebook, and ask yourself these questions. Who's in my basement? Who are the parts of me I've ignored or silenced? Maybe it's the child who learned to be small, the teenager who thought love had to be earned, the adult who drinks to feel in control. Write them down. Name them. They're not your enemies. They're your exiles. And the next question would be, what are they trying to tell me? Every behavior, even the destructive ones, has an emotional purpose. What's the intention behind your habits? Is it safety, comfort, escape, relief? What are those parts asking for that you've been denying? And the next question would be, how can I start leading myself with compassion? This is the heart of Schwartz's work, self-leadership. It's when your calm, grounded, compassionate self steps forward and says, I've got this. You can rest now. It's not about controlling your parts. It's about caring for them. And the next question would be, where have I been blaming myself for someone else's behavior? That's Dr. Ramani's question. The one that cuts deep. I'm going to ask that again. Where have I been blaming myself for someone else's behavior? Because so many of us are stuck in patterns of self-blame, thinking if we had just done something differently, people wouldn't have hurt us. But it's not you. You were surviving systems that thrived on your confusion, and now it's your time to see things clearly without the damn guilt. And Ramani says, you cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. So maybe it's time to create a new environment, one built on truth, respect, and peace. And here's the truth. Healing doesn't mean you never get triggered. It means when you do, you respond with awareness instead of autopilot. You say, I see you, fear, I see you, loneliness, but I'm leading now. And that's where the power is. If you're someone who's struggling to quit drinking or to stay sober, I want you to hear this. You do not have to be perfect to start. You just have to be willing to feel, because feeling is the work, and you will not understand this until you start. And when you can finally sit with your emotions without running, that's when your life starts to change. Maybe you're 4 weeks in, maybe you're 4 days in, maybe you haven't even started yet. But wherever you are, you're exactly where you need to be. Because every sober person you look up to once stood exactly where you are. Maybe it looked slightly different, but terrified, hopeful, and wondering if they had what it takes. And the truth is, you do. You've always had it. Schwartz teaches us that inside you is a self that is calm, confident, compassionate, and courageous. It's not something you earn. It's something you remember. It's who you were before the world made you doubt yourself. And Dr. Ramani reminds us that your worth isn't something other people can decide. It's inherent. It's unshakable. You don't have to keep proving it to people who refuse to see it. So tonight or today, before you go to bed, I want you to do something simple. Just close your eyes and picture yourself walking down the steps into that basement. It's dim, but you can see little faces peeking out, scared and unsure. But instead of ignoring them, I want you to kneel down and open your arms and say, you're safe now. You don't have to hide anymore. I see you. I love you. I won't abandon you again. That's how healing begins. Not always in a rehab center, and not always in a church, and not in a therapist's office. It begins inside, in that quiet moment where you finally stop running from yourself. Sobriety isn't just quitting a drink. It's coming home to yourself. It's cleaning out that basement. It's choosing peace over performance. It's remembering that the you that's been waiting in the dark, you're not weak. You're wise. So just remember, it's not you who broke. It's you who finally is waking up. I love these books. If you stayed with me through the whole entire time, It's Not You by Dr. Ramani and You Are Who You've Been Waiting For by Richard Schwartz. Also, The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel Kolk is also another amazing one. I highly recommend start working on your inner parts, and maybe you'll understand where all of your pain is coming from. And that's when the real work begins. I really appreciate you guys being here, taking the time to listen to me ramble over my words. But I'm not perfect. I still have a lot to learn, and I'm doing the work. I'm here showing up daily because this is my purpose. Staying sober, helping others, leading by example. Let's get to work. And if you have any comments or any questions, please drop them below or feel free to reach out to me through my email. Thank you again for being here so much. I couldn't do it without you guys.